Good greetings, Rusty Dog here, and welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator. And we are in Amsterdam at Schiphol Airport, I believe it's pronounced. It's been raining, it's stopped now, and it's very windy, same as it is where I am. It's very gusty, or at least it was. I don't know if it's died down, we'll find out in a minute. But we're going to be flying to, hopefully, slightly warmer climate, at least by about 5 degrees warmer, but at least maybe a sunny climate in Barcelona. So, yeah, let's see how that goes. All right, so welcome. Gain damage, hi. Let's have a look. I'm just going to make sure, yeah, there we go. Everything's good. Right, we are streaming. Okay, so I've got most of everything set up. Oh, sheephole without H. Sheephole. 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 Right. Understood. In fact, you haven't got the right screen on your side, so let me just fix that. If I transition this, it's going to be a black screen for a second, I think. There we go. All right. Okay, so Schiphol Airport. Well, that's where we are, and we're currently sat in one of the passenger seats. Beautiful reflections on the wing. The Ryanair fin reflecting at the back of the wing there. Really nice. The traffic is loaded in as well. Those flights are all exactly as they're supposed to be in the real world. So let's have a look outside. The wind doesn't sound as gusty as it was. It was really gusting a little bit. I wasn't sure if they were letting planes take off, but there was planes moving around. So there's another KLM going out there. So I guess, yeah, and we got planes queued up here, but you can hear the wind. Like it's yeah, and it's not too dissimilar where I am. It's gale force where I am actually. All right, so let's move back into the cockpit where everything's pretty much set up. We just got to do a few more little tweaks. We've got all the fuel on board, all the passengers are on board. We get rid of the jetway in a minute. We'll come back to that. So I think we can get the APU started up, because I'm going to save all that time. So let me just make sure everything else is set here. I think it is. So let's get APU going. And we already have the aft fuel pump on to power it. We only need one of the 4 fuel pumps to power it. So that needle should start pressurizing. Should start pressurizing. Oh, I was wondering what the delay was. Now there we go, that light did go out. Okay, so that's going to then come back down. We wait for the blue light, and then we can transfer the power of the plane from the ground power, I was going to say battery, from the ground power to the APU. And as you can see, we are powering up. We've got the heat haze coming out the back. So while that is getting itself ready, let's get rid of the jetway. Hopefully GSX will pop up. Yep, it wasn't playing the game yesterday. It wasn't wanting to pop up. There she goes. All right. So now we can't remove the chocks yet because we need to transfer power. So let's do that. APU is ready. Let's get the power transferred. I love that little dip in power while it gets transferred over. So ground power, we can remove it. And now we can just pop into the menu and go to ground, and removing the chocks will also release the ground power at the same time, so we can do that. If you do this before you set the APU, you'll be back on battery power, and yeah, you don't want to do that. Alright, that's awesome. So, go back to flight plan. Don't see any problems in the flight plan. I have checked it. Well, there was one discontinuity. Let me have a quick run through. So I think the flight is around 1 hour and 40 minutes. And it goes through Belgium, France, and then of course Spain. There is the top of climb. I wonder if I should just bring this up a little bit. Yeah, so we have top of climb. Going through here, all looks okay. There's top of descent we just went past. Decel, and then into the runway. We're taking off runway 24, landing at 24 right. Now, the reason I'm doing this flight is because I actually saw a video channel. I don't know what the exact channel name is, but it's the Dutch Flying Girl or something, Dutch Flying Girl. And she flew, well, she was the co-pilot, but she brought this exact plane, the Ryanair 737-800, into Barcelona, into 24 right. So we've been assigned the same runway. It kind of makes sense. And I saw her do it, and so I'm expecting the same experience. When she was bringing up the real charts on the screen and detailing everything that they were doing with text, which was really cool, the charts, the frequencies, the waypoints, everything is exactly the same in Navigraph. It's the same. So this is really, it's really amazing how close to reality this thing is. And it's, yeah, it's what makes me love this simulator. It's just way too good. It's just brilliant. If you'll also notice here on the charts, this is the airport information chart for Schiphol Airport. And if we take a look down here at the top, or up here, I'm having to scroll down, we have the radio frequency. So the tower frequency here is 119.230. Okay, so let's put that in. Why did I choose to do it on that for? Oh great, I've lost that one now. Okay, so 119, and we want 230 on here. That should be the tower. Okay, and let's switch that one on. There you go. Okay, cool. Now we can change frequencies as we go when this one becomes out of range. I can also do it automatically, but doing it manually has just got that immersion. The immersion next to it. Right, so everything here is programmed in. I've got the performance figures in, the flight plan is in, everything is ready to go. So this is a new update of the plane as well, and they fixed some bugs in here, but I've noticed that the Navigraph charts are a little bit bugged. Sometimes you can click on one and it'll just stay grey and it won't bring it out. Sometimes you can switch from departure to arrival and it'll just bring you back here. It'll just crash out. So here, guys, here is our flight today. Flying through Rotterdam, through Belgium. Are we localized on that? Yeah, there we go. through Belgium, straight through Paris as well.
Runway 4 left, let's take off. 4 left.
And then into Barcelona, right at the north of Spain there. All right. So, very cool. And I'm just trying to think whether I've forgotten anything, and I don't think I have. So let's make sure everything is set up here, and then we will start the engines. Right, everything here done. Packs. Remind me before we take off, when I'm on the runway once the engines have started, remind me, put the packs on, because I will forget. So we'll switch on to APU bleed. So the packs can stay off for now until we do that. But if we don't put the packs on, the cabin will depressurize at altitude, and all the passengers will suffer. So let's get the beacon light on. I think we are ready. Okay, we need to go nose right, I believe. Yeah, I believe. Sounds confident, doesn't it? Just how a pilot should be. Okay, so prepare for pushback. Is that a Netherlands speaking English accent, is it?
Number 4173, turn right, Papa to Lima, hold short, runway 4 left. Papa to Lima, hold short, number 4173.
So this
departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
So I'm just going to double check, because we're taking off from runway 24, which is this one. So if we go nose right, we can just go down here, cut straight through here. I don't think we'll need to be up here. We've got plenty of runway. We can just come down here and we'll be good to go. So yeah, just taxi along here, take the first right. I don't know what the taxiways are. I haven't looked. I could look. Look at the reflections here. The sun's actually come out now. It was really quite cloudy and grey earlier, but wow, look at this. The sun's really come up now. Okay. Push back. Yeah, push. 911. Okay, so we're going to go nose right.
Release parking brakes, please.
Oh, very nice.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Okay, he is pushing. So, while he is pushing, we will get the engines started. So, let's go on to the right engine. And let's wait for N2 to fire up to 25. And then we shall use this button here to inject the fuel into the jet engines. Fuel injection in 4, 3, 2, 1, engage. I have to do that. And that should fire up the N1. So N2 is the jet part at the back, and N1 is the fan part at the front. I think. I've forgotten now. I'll have to find out when I start the other engine up. Man, the lighting here. I don't know if it's going to still be daylight by the time we get to Barcelona. I think so, but we'll see. Okay, so once we get to around 18 here, then we have a good engine. And I just heard this click back to off, so let's switch this over to there. Do the same. So while this N2 is firing up, is that moving? Yeah, it is. Okay, so I got it the wrong way around. So N2 is the fan, and N1 is the jet.
Parking brakes.
And of course it is, because you don't inject fuel into the fan, do you?
Net A6, contact your departure.
Okay, let's do that, and let's put the parking brake on, because that's what he just asked me for.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
Net 2403,
I
everyone.
think I've set the pitch. I think it's 520. Great, it was 520. There we go. Now I feel like I need to confirm that. So if I go to the index and go to takeoff, 5.2. Correct. Now I've got my figures here different to what is recommended here, and that's only because I used the tablet to put those figures in, calculate the actual engine power needed, so that's fine. V1 is the same as rotate, so as soon as they call out V1 we can pull the nose up and get it off the ground. Alright,
JetBlue at 12.
so do we have good engine start? Yeah, we do. And so we can now tell the pushback people that we have good engine
Cockpit
start.
to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
4 left on kilo, get recovered. Thank you.
So I've never done this flight before. I can't even remember if I've actually been to Barcelona in this before.
Have a great day.
Pretty sure I've taken off from Amsterdam before, from this airport, but it was over to Gatwick, I believe. I haven't done this one, so this is a new flight for me. And look, when I got this was a little while back when I got the weather, and as you can see here, it's gusting at 41 knots. So I'm just going to get a refresh of that. Okay, again, so the wind 28 knots, gusting at 39.
Bypass been removed.
So that's not too bad.
Left is clear, right is clear.
Oh, and also if we want to get the ATIS, which is the information for the weather and stuff, we can program that into this other frequency here before we take off, before we move. So that's 132, 980. So let's go to that one. So ATIS is basically a repeated message of information. So let's switch over temporarily.
Schiphol Airport information, Zulu 1300 Zulu.
I'm looking for this
Wind 268 at 28.
confirmation here.
Visibility 6.
6 miles.
1,900 feet. Scattered ceiling 4,100 feet.
Now she's going to tell me that the effect.
12. Dew point 10. QNH 29er decimal tree 8.
Perfect. She's going to tell me that the runway, active runway, is 27.
Departing runway 27.
See, 27, but we're not taking off from 27.
All aircraft read back.
That's SimBrief's fault. Okay. Right, so everything is good, and
On Mike.
we can go. We got clearance, didn't we? So let's put the auto brakes on. Normally I've noticed in the Airbus you would also arm the spoilers or the speed brake, and you don't do that in this plane because it freaks out otherwise. So flaps, we're going to move that down to 5.
Net 1021, contact your departure.
And there they go. We'll just stay here while that goes down. Just because it looks good. I love the lighting and reflections in this. It's so good. And it looks to me, looking up at the sky there, it looks like when we get above those clouds, it's going to be extremely clear. And yeah, we should be good. So 31,000 feet we're going up today, so that's good enough. Handbrake is off. We'll reset the fuel flow when we get to the threshold. Oh, and what have I got to do, guys, now that the engines are on? The packs. There we go. And now we can, actually we're still powered by that Oops.
727, right on Papa to Whiskey and cross right 4 left.
Right on Papa, Whiskey, cross 4 left, United 720.
Okay. Forgot to power it on the engines there. I think we're taking off here, right? We're taking this, yeah, and then we're just going to carry on all the way, all the way. Okay, we can do a fuel flow reset right now. That way we're all ready to go. Laps set to 5 here.
Fairway's 993, near attack, caution way turbo, runway 4 left, miles away.
4 left, left, right, early 793.
Okay, so we're not right at the back of the runway, but we have plenty of space.
4 left, line up and wait.
At 131, we need about 1.
Right, hopefully that's enough room, and hopefully there's nothing coming in behind me. No. We got the eyelet windows as well on this flight, in case I want to look up. Alright, so just double checking everything is ready. Just going to enable LNAV and VNAV now. That one down. Set. Transponder is on and TCAS is on. Yeah, I'm good. Let's go. Let me just double check something. Yep, happy with that as well. Okay, ready? Go. We have to do a left turn here. Okay, full throttle. And here's hoping for a good flight.
Spirit 993, contact departure.
What departure
V1 and rotate. Oof, with a little bit of, oh man, we're getting pushed.
Positive rate of climb.
And gear up. It is windy. Got a little bit of push there, but we're good. Okay, reducing flaps down to 2. Nice lighting on the left-hand side window there with the water.
Cross runway 4 left, as you're crossing, make the half right there to Bravo 4 and join Romeo with frequency bridge. Alright, Kilo, cross 4 left.
Flaps up.
4 Romeo with you.
And let's hand it over to the pilot of auto. So the autopilot has the plane now. We don't have to do much, do we? Lovely lighting again there. Look. Whoa, look at that. Whoa, hello. We got, just before we made this left turn, we got some buffeting going on there. Well, let's sit in the other seat. Oh, why does the sim keep doing this? I hate this. I don't know if it's lagging from the server or what. I'm just looking at the tip here to see if it's, you know, bouncing up and down. See what the wind is. You know what I forgot to do? I don't know. Sometimes I forget. Putting the landing lights on as we got on the runway and the taxi lights. Gonna put them on now just out of spite. Yeah, I forgot to do the lighting. I think sometimes I get distracted when I'm talking. So already we need to go to standard pressure. I should have done that a while ago, because the transition altitude here is the lowest I've heard, 3000. So once you get over 3000, you're supposed to put it onto standard pressure. I was a little bit late, but it doesn't matter in this case. We can turn the auto brakes off now and confirm all the flaps are in and everything's good. Yeah, good indication of how much gusting we're getting would be just watching the wingtips. And we've got the proper Ryanair interior as well, you can see here. And if I slide across the seats, look back. Oh, don't they have it here? I thought they had the Ryanair logo on the back, but they don't. This is different. I'm sure this plane wasn't yellow yesterday. Oh yeah, there it is. I knew they had the Ryanair logos. There we go. Now, talking of passengers being allowed to stand up, the seat belts are on automatic, so they'll go off by themselves anyway. Okay. Right, so we have about an hour and 40 minutes to kill. This will monitor where we are as well, so this is good. We can actually watch our progress, which I kind of like that. Now there is all the descent information to put in, which I've got some of it in my head. Now we had this last time, unable to do 280 knots at Alba, and that's because that's too fast. So let's fix this. If we go to Alba, you'll notice it's doing 244 there, 244 there, 250 there. I'm confused as to why it's doing... Well, okay, that kind of makes sense. So let's plug this in at 240 and it will just recalculate the rest. So 240.
Traffic.
We're okay. And then it should readjust these. There we go, 242. Then it's actually going to speed up here. But it doesn't need to speed up. We can just put 240 in there as well. We should be good. There we go. Good afternoon, Andy. How are you, sir? Is that traffic? Clouds look gorgeous. Oh, yes, I should mention. Look at this glorious shot here. We have had a new update with MSFS. City Update 5, which brings photogrammetry cities to... I'm getting the information as I'm talking, because I've forgotten all of them. Right, so we have The Hague in the Netherlands has been redone. Brussels, which we'll be passing over. I don't know how to pronounce this. It's in Slovakia. Kosic. Zagreb in Croatia and Cadiz in Spain. They've all been produced in the highest visual fidelity using the latest geographic information. Yeah. So that update came a day or so ago, a couple of days ago. Man, those clouds are looking nice today. Ooh, got a little pop-up here. I am glad they're all below us though. And we've got other traffic there in the skies. Yeah, so this is a flight I have been wanting to do for a few days since watching the final part of the flight happen in real life. And I actually did start this flight yesterday, but the weather conditions were really different because it was only about 4:30 in the afternoon and it was pretty much dark already in the Netherlands. But I started the flight anyway and I got down to around here, and then I decided to just abort it and do it another day, and that day is right now. So it won't be getting dark at 4:30 in the afternoon in Barcelona, although it shouldn't be. Although I can't compare it to south of Spain. Obviously the closer you get to the equator, the later the time will be before it starts getting dark, right? You would never see, like in Gibraltar for example, you would never see it getting dark at around 4:30, 5:30. It just never happens. I think the earliest you'd start to see it would be about 7:30, something like that. 7-ish, 7:30-ish. Certainly not so early as we get in the UK or further up north here, you know, in the northern hemisphere, I mean. And there's our islet windows. Yay! They look kind of cool. I don't normally enable them, but I thought today I would, because it'd be nice to have. And I do have the sunshades on, but obviously I can't bring the sunshade round to the front because I've also enabled this guy, and he's in the way. So we're just going through 25,000 feet now. And we can tune in different tower. So just doing that now, 120.430, which is already done. So the runway that we're going to in Barcelona is elevation is 10 feet above sea level, and we are 205 above that. So the decision altitude is going to be 205 plus the 10, 215. So when we come to do the decision altitude 215, we'll put that in down here. I just want to show you this, what I'm talking about here. So if we go to arrival and we want approach, and the approach is 25 right Zulu, this one. Perfect. Right, so what I'm talking about here is if we go to, we need this as well, the ILS frequency, 109.5. And the inbound course is 244, which is true to life. So the airport elevation is, the runway elevation, not the airport, the runway elevation is 10 feet. And then for a straight in landing on ILS, it's 205 feet above that 10. So the decision altitude becomes 215. And it is that one, not B, C or D, because we're in category A, this aircraft, so yeah. All good. So inbound course 244, so we need that. We need the ILS frequency, and we need the decision altitude for the descent information to feed into the plane. The plane doesn't know these things yet. We'll feed them in a little bit later. And there's the beep telling us we're about to hit the cruising altitude of 31,000. So that purple thing will be coming down. Now. There it is. Awesome. Right, so far so good. We are flying exactly where the flight director is asking us to. So, fingers crossed it stays like this and we get a good landing. Oh, look at that. I swear, man, it could just, sometimes it could just look real, you know? Actually, let's go to the seat behind. Even this guy doesn't get a good seat out. Have we got any more seats? That one. There we go. This guy's got the best seat in front of the engine. I'm going to have to photograph that. Look how real that looks. Oh, we're tilting. Doesn't that look so good though? It's hard to believe we're on a computer here. Clouds look amazing today. They've improved them a lot, I think. They used to be quite grainy, and you can occasionally still see a little bit of graining now and again, but not so much. You can just see on the edges here, but let's just put that down to the glass effect. Probably. Look awesome, look at this. So this livery as well, I've got a couple of Ryanair liveries, but this one is weathered and dirty. I don't know if we can notice any places, probably on the engine, or not, or on the leading edge of the wing maybe. No. We've got all this dirt coming off all the windows, which you would get if it's been out raining. Where's this guy going? Looks like we have the contrails now. Yeah. And that lighting. So good. I can't get over how good this looks. So where exactly are we now? We must be over Belgium, are we? We are indeed. We go right over Paris. So we may be able to look down. If it's not too cloudy, we may be able to look down and see Paris. No prizes for spotting the Eiffel Tower though. But good luck if you can. Average wind 92 knots, look. Jeez. Okay, so I'll just chill it for a bit. I don't seem to have any chat on my browser. I'm going to reinitialize it and see if it comes up. Yay! So I've got all the, you'll notice I've got all of the lights on here, the panel lights, because it was actually quite dark outside earlier, standing at the airport. It, you know, it was, well, I've probably been at the airport there for about an hour, just sat there with the ground power running, and it was really dark inside the cockpit, but now it's not too bad at all. Just looking at those clouds makes me think what the weather's like underneath here, because we have a storm right now in the UK, right? Storm Pia, I think it's called, PIA. And it's been gale force. Certainly yesterday it was blowing like crazy here. And today winds have been up to around 69 kilometers per hour, something like that. But even just parked at the gates in Amsterdam airport, it was super windy as well. Yeah, very much so. So I was actually wondering, you know, at what point, if you have like gusty winds, at what point would air traffic control tell you that planes are being grounded and you can't take off because it's too gusty? Like how much wind does that need to be before you get that?
961 heading your check.
Yeah, we're just checking.
Because I actually don't know. I mean, look, what the hell is going on here? Look at this. Look how far off we are here, right? So, man, 135 knot winds pushing that way, which means it's hitting the tail, right? It's hitting the tail because that's the bit that's going to stick out the most and that's like a wall for the wind. So the wind is hitting this tail and pushing the back that way, right? It's pushing the back of the plane out that way, and the plane's trying to fly straight, right? And that's, look at this, look how far off this flight path. We are still on the flight path, but the plane's kind of kinked over because this purple line's supposed to be up at the top here. So the plane, the computer is, you know, the autopilot is still flying this purple line, but it's doing it while it's a bit skewy. And I really hope the wind dies down by the time we get to Barcelona, otherwise we're going to be landing in this position. You know, you've seen those planes where they come in at an angle, like sometimes almost sideways, and then just before they touch down, they'll just flick the plane back straight again just before it hits the ground. It's amazing to see it. So I tell you what, let's get all of the descent information in. So the ILS frequency 109.5, wasn't it? So let's put ILS in the bottom. Oh god, now what? Okay. It's not letting me do this now.
United 2085, having your Sally, and number 2, runway to the right, clear to land, wind 1103.
Hold on, clear to land.
Oops.
9961 heavy, traffic now holding a position on Mike Cross 24 left, up to Sierra, ground friendly, please.
Okay, clear to cross 4 left and
Oh, I know. Maybe let's try 095. Oh dear. If it's not letting me do this, we're in trouble here. Now we're good. Okay. And this one I'll change to glide slope. I've never had it on that before. So 109.5, the decision altitude was 215. So let's change that. And that will appear here, just there. Okay, so we'll just change that there. 215, and the inbound course was 254. And I've just found out if I hold the shift key in when I'm doing altitude and course, it will actually just go quicker. Wish I'd known that. Okay. Down both sides, and I believe the final constraint on the altitude is 2,300. It is. So holding down the shift key because it's just faster. Okay, so we've got our final constraint altitude in. The course is laid in, the ILS is laid in, and the decision altitude is laid in. We can also load in the weather. We no longer have to save these files now. It used to be in SimBrief you'd have to save them into the folders, but because of the new way that it imports it, you don't need to do that. It just imports the wind information directly from SimBrief, which is brilliant. It just saves just a little bit of hassle. This transition level is incorrect. We're going to have to change that. Okay, forecasts are ready. Let's load. And it should populate this with all the wind information. Now then, the flight level is different. So, can I go here and change that? I'm gonna switch over to the co-pilot side. I think just make life a little bit easier. I've got the flap lever in the way and stuff. So there we go. All right. So the flight level is actually 6,000 feet, not 7. Transition, and the QNH for Barcelona is, let's load the SimBrief thing, and we've got our arrival, and it is 1021. Totally different format to the Amsterdam one. So I'm going to put okay, I'm just going to put 1021, and that changes your cabin right. That's it. Execute that, and now it's got all the wind information for these different altitudes as we come down. And look at how calm the winds are at 6,000 feet, 13 knots. Ah, lovely. That's a lot better than what we're getting right now. The wind slightly changed, as you can see. It's starting to point up, but the middle of that triangle should be in line with this yellow, with this purple line, and it's not. God knows why I said yellow. Okay, I'm going to pop the range up higher, so I've got more of an idea of when top of descent arrives. So let's see where we are now. So Belgium is long gone. We're over France and approaching Paris. Let's have a look at the clouds. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to see much of Paris, to be honest. I don't think so. It is really cloudy everywhere. It's like we're flying over cotton wool world. So shall we take up a passenger seat for a while? I mean, I don't know if the wind is just this constant thing, because I mean, that side, that's not the side where the wind's coming from, it's this side. But the wings look super steady. I'm assuming you can see this line here as well. That's just on the glass, I believe. Yeah, it changes with the lighting. How small am I here? Let me see if I can get myself positioned on the seat and with my head resting on the back. So my head would be here, more or less, I'd say. And then my view would be that. Whoa, hello. That was not a course correction, by the way. That was turbulence. I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah, there was no sudden, you know, deviation. Well, the flight path didn't change. Now we need to load in another airport frequency, so let's see. That one. Compiègne. I don't know how to pronounce it, it's French. It's kind of cool to think that it's only 1 hour and 40 minutes to fly all the way from Amsterdam right the way down to Barcelona. That's not a bad flight at all, is it? 1 hour 40 minutes is all it takes. That's kind of cool.
Sterling's 1173, keep it rolling, traffic will hold in position at taxiway Mike, cross runway 4 left, ground 18.
Man, like it's all cloud. You can forget Paris. Looking down on it. It's not gonna happen. No. Not today.
At 2680 near tower, wind 1005, runway 4 right, clear to land. Direction right. At 2680, reduce to your final approach speed. Slow, 2680.
Well, I enjoyed the F-14 Tomcat on the Vulcan. Two amazing planes that they brought in, but it is nice to get back to the jet. Oh, it's getting a little bit of lag here. It's stuttering a little bit. I think that's just server lag. Yeah, we are on the outskirts of Paris already, and you can see even here, look, how the plane is tilted off the flight plan. It's not flying straight on that purple line, which it should be. Look at this. It looks like a Pink Floyd album. 114, so it's dying down a little bit. Well, let's go to airports. Let's load up the airports, because this is Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris right here. And it looks like we're going to be flying over it. But as for seeing it, well, there are little holes in the clouds, but we're not going to be flying over it, because we will be following this purple line, because it would be strange to me to have a flight path over an airport. even at this altitude, I would say probably not do it right. I don't know. But anyway, we're not. LFPB, I've taken off from there before and from here. I just can't remember what they are. But the iCows ring a bell. LFPO, LFPB. I don't know if that's Calais or something, or somewhere near. LFPB. FPB. I don't remember. I'll check it in a minute. Oh, it's Le Bourget Airport, or Le Bourget. And LFPO is Orly. Yes, Orly I have taken off from in the past. Right, so we are just over Paris. There's that grainy clouds I was mentioning before. Well, that's Paris. Looking rather fluffy. But we've got no chance of seeing anything else. You might see a plane come through the clouds as it ascends, coming out of Charles de Gaulle Airport, which is to our right at the moment. Probably causing all of this pollution. It is dark under that cloud, look. Is it raining? I don't know. Maybe. That looks dark under there though. Oof. Thankfully we are going a lot further out. Okay, so we don't need the airports. Yeah. So these are the other. I love the way it shows these waypoints and the distance to each one. Really cool. Really, really good. And the altitude that we're going to be at. So we're staying at 31,000, of course, because we won't be descending for a while yet.
Reduce your final approach speed now. You have an overtake on the regional grid the following.
How do I get rid of that now? I just click off? Yeah. Click on the map somewhere where it's not on the flight path. But we don't really need these lights on at the moment. These ones that are lighting up here, but so the way this works, might as well go through these. The main panel is the brightness of these background lightings here, and then we've got the outboard DU, whatever that says underneath, VRT brightness. That's these tapes here, I believe, isn't it? Yeah. So if we take that down, that's affecting the whole display actually. Yeah. And then we've got inboard. That seems to be affecting the terrain. And then we've got lower. I have no idea what that does. Lower what? See, and there's two switches to these things. There's this one, and then there's this one. Not sure what those do. Background is at night. You want these bright lights coming down here. That's what that does. and then the ADFS or AFDS is the autopilot lighting, which you can turn off, on, and then if you want overhead, you want this to light up, you've got your panel brightness here, and then if you want this one to light up, you've got this one, and if you want light in the cockpit at night time, you go to dim or bright for the whole cabin. That's just like switching the light on in a room. That's what that one does, but we don't need that because it's still daylight. And then the other ones would be for this panel. It's quite lagging, man. When I'm moving the camera around, it takes a while to catch up. But the panel brightness is this one. See, that's off now, and then we turn it up, and then you've got the floodlights, which if you look at here, look at the handbrake, or the emergency brake, you'll see it lighting up. So I think that must be a light. I don't know where that's coming from actually. Maybe at the back. Yeah, no, don't know. But anyway, yeah, this is more noticeable at night. So those are your main brightness buttons for everything. There's probably, oh, and of course there's the same on the co-pilot side. There's probably a few more scattered around in places, but I haven't really looked. But they probably exist. Right, so the wind is slowly getting less and less. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more on track. We're approaching Deco now. So we've still got a little bit to go. At the cruising altitude here. Whoa, hello. That's not healthy. Oh, okay, these are going away from each other, but that looked like an accident waiting to happen. What's going on? That's a lot of traffic. I'll make that shot as well. Do we have a lot of airports right around now where we are? There's a lot of aeroplanes in the sky right now. And the moon. Jesus, honestly it looks like an air display. Okay, now, because we've made the turn, the wind is now blowing. It's still blowing on the tail, but it's at less of a perpendicular. Would it be that angle?
Good afternoon, wind 3506, runway 16 left, cleared to land.
So you can see the plane is now able to be a little bit more on the line.
453, Tower, good afternoon, following company 6 miles ahead, wind 340 at H, runway 16 right, cleared to land.
I'm going to switch to a different radio frequency as well.
Southwest 882, turn left at the next high speed, continue via Delta 5, contact ground 127.5.
Well, the day is certainly brightening up. We've got clouds above us now. Below looks nightmarish. There's a plane down there as well, look. Oh, it's windy, you can hear it. Yeah, so it's still pushing on this tail just a tad, not like before though. But the wind's going to be changing direction all the time. And it's only 96 knots now. Wow. That's still plenty. About 110 miles an hour, just in case you are needing a reference for that. About 175, something like that, kilometers per hour. Not quite sure. Close to that, anyway. Because 100 is 100 miles an hour is 160 kilometers. So 110 miles an hour must be 170, 75 maybe. Yeah. 110 mile an hour wind. 95. Let's hope that keeps going down. We're still a little bit off, but that's... See, this is these three lines. That's where the plane would naturally head forward, but it's actually going that way still. You'll see the flight path here is 176, and the heading we're on is 184. But we're still making it because it's compensating. I think the autopilot's just compensating the whole time. Like if I was to fly this manually, I'd probably have to keep making corrections by rolling the plane every now and again to stay on the flight path. Oh, Jesus. Something just moved on my desk and it made me jump. Right, let's zoom this out. See where we are. So, what would it be? About halfway now? Just a bit over? Or just a bit before, I would say, maybe. Yeah, it's about halfway, isn't it? Roughly. Or it's going to be in a few moments. So, this will be landing... See, this looks like it says 2 hours and... Yeah, 2 hours, 12 minutes, but that's because Barcelona's an hour ahead. So Amsterdam time will be landing at 12:27. At 13:27. And then we have... Well, this is meant to be universal time, right? 14:38. Huh? Can't be. Barcelona will be an hour ahead of... Or maybe 2 hours ahead now. Let's see. Right, it's currently 14:39 where I am, and 15:39 in Barcelona, so... Yeah, Barcelona's on CET time at the moment. I'm not sure about this time. That could have just been because the sim brief, when I loaded up the sim brief flight plan, it was like I took off and maybe an hour or so later than what was scheduled, and it's using that time. So, yeah. The fact also that we have a tailwind might get us to Barcelona a little bit faster than we expected, because we're getting pushed by this tailwind now at 90 knots. That's gonna help. So at what point do we start coming down? So somewhere after Deagle is our top of descent. No, they put this yaw damper gauge here, and I can never see the thing.
210 heading 24 left, clear to take on Southwest 41.
This gauge is our brake pressure.
Number 1, 2 cars left, 3 roll now. Contact 2, 240 at 10, 24 exit land.
Don't think it's that brake. I think it's just the normal brakes. I can't remember. Again, we've got many streaks in the sky right now.
This is number 456 Super, cross, only 24 left, contact ground, 165.
Cross 24 left, and cross 165.
As we get more close, what we can do as well here is get an update on the weather here. 7 knots. That's nice. 14 degrees. It was 16 a little while ago. And the QNH now is 1020. So do we want to update that? We can. Don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, but we can update it. Now, as we make this turn, let's see if the wind comes with us as well. Yes, it is. Now we have pretty much of a tailwind, so the plane should be able to fly almost on the line. Yep. Nice. But then we've got to make another turn down here, so. But hey, this is good. We've got an 86 knot tailwind now. Push, push. So I don't know if I'm right here, but the throttles are on automatic with the autopilot. If the autopilot wants to maintain 245 and we're getting pushed by the wind, that will speed us up. So does the auto throttle then de-throttle? It's at 79.8 right now, but does it de-throttle to maintain the speed? So what I mean is if this push of 86 knot wind behind us is no longer there, would we need to throttle up maybe to 80 in order to get the 245 back to stop us dropping speed? I wonder. Because obviously what the autopilot's doing is trying to maintain the speed where this marker is, 245. So if you've got, imagine a big finger behind the plane just pushing it a little bit. But you can push back, kind of thing. You could slow down the throttle. I know what I'm trying to say. I'm just explaining it badly. I mean, we're using engine power, right? Thrust to get us to 245. But if someone's behind blowing the plane to keep to, you know, let's say they're adding another 50 knots by blowing onto it, we can reduce 50 knots worth of throttle. 79.7. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Am I right? Like if we had a headwind pushing at us at 85 knots and we needed to maintain 245, we'd need more throttle because we're pushing against a headwind. So it makes sense that if we have a tailwind, the throttles can back off, and that way with a headwind we save fuel. But it doesn't necessarily mean we'll get there any quicker because we're still maintaining the speed that we would have had. So why do they say that tailwinds get you there quicker? Answer in the comments if you guys know what, you know, help me work out this pattern. You get a tailwind, if you get a tailwind all the way, can you arrive sooner? And if so, how is that when the autopilot is maintaining a specific speed? Because if your speed isn't changing, or do you get pushed? Oh, I don't know. I'm just gonna get myself into a rut asking questions, so I'll leave it, I think. Like, does it not if you're getting pushed by the wind, does the autopilot not compensate? It just takes it as a little bonus. I don't know. Man, we've just had wall-to-wall clouds since we took off. This is a lot of Europe, and it's nasty. But the weather's been so crap. I don't know, I thought maybe it was just the UK, but it certainly isn't. Let's take a look at what the passengers are seeing. Like, this is moving, but it's not as like if you go into the fly-by-wire A320, you'll see a lot more flexibility in moving around. This looks really quite rigid, but it might be an accurate reflection of the gusts outside. I don't know. I'm not even sure if I've ever done a flight with a Ryanair livery. Have I ever done a Ryanair flight? I can't remember. I've done Monarch, which is no longer around. I've done EasyJet. The only reason I picked Ryanair is because on the video I watched, the Dutch pilot girl, or whatever her name is, she was flying Ryanair, or at least she works for Ryanair. And she lives in Ireland as well. Are we just going through somebody else's contrails just then? Yep. Reflections here again, just really nicely calculated. Just think of all the work the graphics card has to do, the lighting, the reflections, refractions as well, I guess it does. Yep, it's certainly refracting. In case you're wondering what refraction is, quick example: fill a glass with water and put a spoon in the glass, and then you know that effect, it looks like the spoon is bent. That's refraction. And you can see that on the, I'm sure on the wing here. You see, look at all this, blah, 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 blah. Like, if it's not a mirror reflection, it's all, you know, that's refraction. Refraction of light. Oh, just give me a good landing. If I get a really bad landing, I might get rid of this stream. I just want to keep good landings. Takeoffs are the easy part. Cruising is even easier, as long as we don't get any issues. And so far, everything has just been absolutely smooth. No issues whatsoever. It's always the descent that gets me now. Okay, so there is PPG and Alpha. So between DGOL and PPG, obviously, if we're hitting PPG at 23,100, then at some point in between DGOL and PPG, we will be descending. Let me see. Let's see if we can see that on this. So there's min. So there's DGOL. We need to go even more. So there's DGOL, there's the top of descent just after. So it's another 155, I don't know, that's 80, 155 nautical miles before we start descending. I've got this set to 40, and if that's 20, then this has to be 10, 30, and 40. This outer radial will always be whatever this number is. So that outer radial is now 80. See? 40, 60, 20, 0. And look at this, we're able to fly exactly on course now almost. We're not askew because we have a nice tailwind, and it's dying down. So the further we get towards Barcelona and Spain, the more the wind is dying down, thankfully. Yeah, we were in triple digits at the beginning, and it's been dying down ever since, thankfully, so that's good. And here's our turn, so if we go on board with this dude, there might be a woman in this seat. Oh, it's a little bit of, I don't know if that's just the autopilot correcting or if it's just buffeting on the winds. So yeah, there's a little bit going on. It wasn't smooth, was it? Not perfectly. But now we're a little bit off again because we've turned and now the wind is a little bit to the side there. It's pushing up. So again, back on this tail fin. We can finally see some land. And where are we? Still France, okay. I noticed how since we went past Paris, it's kind of disappeared off the map there. Remember how this used to be Google Maps? And now it isn't. I really don't want it to crash when we zoom in like it has done before. I'm just wondering whether these areas here are bodies of water, perhaps. And we can also switch to Navigraph map as well. which is handy. There's our airport at the bottom there, look, LEBL. Let me just unlock this. LEBL right there. I would take a guess that LEVT is Bilbao Airport. Or actually no, yeah, Bilbao. That's just a guess. This is Madrid. LEMG is Malaga. I'm surprised they haven't got Gibraltar on here. LXGB. There it is. LEVT. Gonna Google it. Oh, it's Vitoria. Okay, so where's Bilbao? Well, Bilbao is LEBB. Maybe I need to zoom in then. Bilbao is right in the north of Spain. Okay. There it is. Took a couple of goes to get it in. Yeah, it's right up in the north here. It's the only one I know that's North Spain and near the border. That's why I guessed that it was the other one, but no. No, it isn't. Right, we've tuned out of the radios, haven't we? So let's get the next.
Traffic, please. Turn left downwind runway 35 0.
Static Piper Archer is about 20 miles south level 5,500 feet inbound for only 26.
So look at that, minus 24 degrees. I believe, I can keep forgetting, I can't remember, but I think TAT is the temperature that's hitting the, one of them is the temperature outside, right, that's flying past the aircraft. There's also SAT, TAT and SAT, and SAT, one of them is the temperature of the air that's hitting the skin of the aeroplane. And obviously that's going to be warmer because it might be minus 16, which is cold, but it's warmer than minus 24 because obviously when it hits the aircraft, there's friction involved and it's going to warm up the air. But air that's just flying past the aircraft and not hitting it. So I think SAT is the one that hits this. But then you've got OAT as well, which is outside air temperature.
Warrior 4 uniform turning downwind, runway 32.
Let me just see if I can find out which is which. So, okay, so TAT and SAT are the same, right? Total air temperature. Total air temperature is the SAT, actual OAT, plus the temperature rise associated with high-speed flight. RAM rise. That hasn't helped. So SAT is static air temperature, is the temperature of undisturbed air. There you go. Undisturbed air, the air that's flying past the plane and not hitting it. OAT is outside air temperature, RAT is RAM air temperature. and TAT is total air temperature, which is the static air temperature, the undisturbed air, plus the temperature rise associated with high-speed flight. So wouldn't that be the air that's hitting the plane? So that's the temperature of the air hitting the plane. So what's the outside air temperature? I think we can get it from here, but I'm not sure. Wouldn't even know where to look. On the Airbus it does display OAT, I think. Yeah. Because there's probes and everything outside that show this. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, anyway. Just telling it we're going to land at flaps 30 on the approach. It's got the ILS and the course laid in. Ah, there we go. I knew it was somewhere. Right, so outside air temperature at cruise altitude is -46, and the temperature of the air hitting the plane is -24. There you go. Right, I'm now satisfied. I hope I've got all that information correct. See, once we get in over the Spanish border and into Spain, it's not far to get to Barcelona. I wonder which will come first, the descent or the crossing the border. Well, for that, we know that we're descending after De Gaulle. So to find that out, if we zoom in, find out where De Gaulle is. That's Alba. Oh, it looks like it's before then, right? Yeah, there's PPG. There's De Gaulle. There you go. So we'll be descending around here, I would say. Start descending here, well into France. So we'll descend in France and land in Spain. Wow. And we're still in France by quite a margin too. That is super interesting. And there's De Gaulle coming up next in 35.6 nautical miles. It would also show it here. And also the time at which we will be reaching De Gaulle. So it's currently 15:04 and it's expected to reach De Gaulle at 15:09. So another 5 minutes to get to De Gaulle. All the information's here if you know how to look for it and where to look. Basically. This is the beacon.
Traffic, put it at 34110 Bravo, turning left downwind for runway 7.
Localizer. That's the localizer frequency that we pick up.
Traffic, put it at
41 Tango Bravo, turning left.
I'm looking for references to VOR. See if there's one near the airport. That's not it, I don't think. That's Beacon. Okay, so our star is Alba 2W. Okay, so there's the VOR, sorry. So there, that 115.35. Alba in. There's the airport. So that 115.35 is the nearest VOR. I was only curious because I know I lost the VOR frequency down here. And I wonder if putting it in again, if it would accept that. So if I put, we're not flying VOR, so 115.35. So do pilots put this in anyway, just in case? So the CILS that's active, VOR is on standby just in case there's a power cut at the airport and the localizer goes down. I don't know. I don't know what it would take for the pilots to then change to flying VOR. But I guess if you have the frequency in ready. I'm just wondering whether pilots would do that by default, have it already in, or whether they would just consult the charts if the need arises. No? Okay, so we are 2 minutes from Deagle, or less than 2 minutes. And the wind is definitely calmer now, so we're able to stay on the flight path straight. That's just a blanket of cloud over there, but over here we've got a few gaps. Maybe some nicer weather.
Traffic 19 Quebec, final 07.
Carry Sky 56 Romeo, train left downwind 07.
Go to 129, contact the flight good.
Over to departure, Delta 129, good day.
Oh, I seem to have lost my audience. Both of them.
People on that hangar or people left to pick up.
Right, so we should be descending very shortly. There's top of descent.
46 contact the flight good.
Our departure 46, yeah.
Coming up to 15 nautical miles now. altitude is in, so it should start descending all by itself. So engine's currently at 80.4. I'm interested. It's gonna idle, I think, here. So we'll see what it goes down to. Huh? What? Huh? YouTube was showing one watching, and that would be me because I'm watching myself. It says 2 watching now. Now it says 3. I don't know. I don't know what. I'm just going by YouTube. Below glow slide P inhibit. Whoa, what's that? I'm not going to touch that. Is that a light? Yeah. It's a light. Right, top of descent. So we are descending in France, over France, and landing in Spain. There's the border. And we're going to start descending momentarily. Yeah, it was temporarily 3 and then it went down. Okay, so the moment we hit this, we should see the needle here start to drop, and we should see the engines powering themselves down, not down like off, but just reducing. Dun dun dun, the anticipation. And there we go. Top of descent's disappeared. There we go, look. Retarding. Throttle's coming down. Plane descending. This is it. We're coming down. So we'll get the seat belts on at some point. And now we just got to make sure we keep an eye at the bottom of the scratch pad here in case it wants some drag to slow the plane down. In case we'll have to use the speed brake. When that message pops up, it doesn't beep or anything, so you have to keep an eye out. But yeah, we've reduced to 43 now. We're on half throttle, and we are at 1,450 feet per minute. Yeah, dropping 1,500. Yes, Barcelona. So Perpignan is 28. Okay, I'm tuning into Perpignan's tower. We're getting closer to Perpignan, so it must be down in the south of France, right? There's Monaco all the way over there. Yeah, so from 31,000 here to 10 feet here in Spain.
Departure frequency is going to be 125.2, 125.2, RNAV Del Rey, wind calm, 124 left, clear for takeoff. 125.2, 24 left.
Descent is normally like 3-degree angle. Not wanting any drag right now. And the other thing to keep an eye on is this little gauge here. This is super important. So purple is the, if you think of it as a vertical flight path, this is your descent path, and this white line is the plane. So we are slightly below the descent path, which is fine. We don't want to be too much above it or too much below it, but just that little bit below. It's cool. That's kind of where we need to be anyway. Having them both next to each other, of course, is perfect.
Tower Metro 144 is outside of Suny, visual before left. American 144 Tower, wind calm, 124 left, clear to land, good morning. Clear to land, clear left.
keep wanting to scroll that, but it don't work. Yeah, 244 degrees in to the runway, and it's the one on the right there. 24 right, 24 left is there. Tebla. Here then. There it is. Then we have the final fix, and then the runway.
Tower American 246, sorry, Boeing Company short final traffic hold.
So at PPG, it's predicted to be at 23,100. At Kutsi, it's going to be at 14.7. And now in this one, the speed constraint, I put it at 240, that's fine. Just we can't go above that. We can't go above. Actually, we can, because we're not. I was going to say you can't be above 250 knots if you're under 10,000 feet, but this is not that. So it's quite a slow descent.
November 17, November
240. And what this means is we're allowed to fly anywhere under 25,000 or above 11,000, which will be the case if we meet that one and that one. And then this one is flight level 10,000 or below, this is 8,000 or above, and you see the speeds are still 240, and then it's reducing as we come down. Landing speed, got 146 there, same on the runway. Where's the VREF though? Let's go to the index. So the VREF speed at 30 knots is 141, so we just drop off another 9 knots or something. I don't know, it'll all work. He says, hopefully. Once we drop under 200 knots, I'm going to extend flaps 1, and then flaps 5 when we get under 180 knots. And then at 170 it'll be flaps 15, gear down, speed brake armed, and something that you should do, which I've never remembered to do, is just before landing, when your flaps are ready, almost down or all the way down, is you switch your engines onto continuous. Yeah. Oh, the clouds have cleared, eh? Wow. The whole flight's just been a total blanket of clouds. And now, as I was hoping, when we get to coming into Spain now, we're just about to cross the border with France and Spain, the clouds are clearing. I hope. Visibility has improved quite a bit. Though these poor guys sitting over the wings don't get that much of a view. That's a better view. Also, if the engine fell off, you wouldn't notice maybe immediately. Mind you, either with this guy. If the wing came off, he'd notice.
Company 6079 Tower, good morning, you're flying on RJ short, final traffic will hold in position, runway 24 left, clear line. Compass 679, 24 left.
Right, let me just make sure we're not needing any drag, and we're not. So now we're slightly above the flight path. Again, that's okay. If you wanted to put the speed brake on, I don't know, I suppose you could. So what are we going to be at over Alba?
You want to contact departure, good morning. So they think it's left there.
19,000 then ish.
Delta 69, runway
19,100.
traffic on a 5 mile final. End up in Wakefield.
That's gone now. Yeah, this is nice and level. This is so far so good. Perfect.
Sky was 5005, left at Echo 13 if you got that, left on Echo, then ground point 65 for 1.
Oof. So I just want to have a look now at distances. So from Tebler to the final fix it's 4.1, and then to the runway it's another 7 nautical miles. Drag required. Alright, let's get the speed brake on, and that is going to bring out the laps there. Amazing, isn't it? Just that little bit slows the plane down enough just to check its speed, to get it to where it needs to be. Now the message is gone, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until it matches the 240 that it's after. There we go, 240. Let's hope it can hold that. So I've got the speed brake mapped to a button because it's just easier that way. And the button it doesn't do it in stages. It's just maximum speed brake and then minute and then off. It's simple as that.
Delta 9840, right 24 left, to land away, traffic on a 5 mile final. Land away, at 24 left, was also
So that message came up even though the flight path was good. It's just that we were a little bit too quick. It was a few knots too fast. And to help the plane match the speed here, it just asked for a bit of help from me, which I was too happy to provide. Once we get under 10,000, we'll make some preparations for the landing. Like, our seat belts are on auto, but if they weren't, I would put seat belts on. Do the auto brakes and put the runway lights on. Also, we know that the QNH is 1010, so we'll have to switch that to HPA unless it's changed. Let me just get a refresh on it. No, it's still 1020. 1020, yeah. And that's what I'll have to go here. But we're using hectopascals in Europe. Well, I thought it was all over Europe, but it seemed that in Amsterdam it was using inches. But I've switched this to hectopascals now. So 1020 needs to be put in here once we come off standard, and we're good. The reason why all planes, when they leave when they go past the transition altitude on takeoff, have to switch to standard is so that they've all got the same reference. All right, because if different planes are on different air pressures, then one plane might read 10,000 and another plane might read 10,000, but they won't be at the same altitude because of the different air pressures. I don't know, it's something like that, right? But if it's on standard and you've got two planes and the air traffic control says I want you at 10,000 and you at 9,000, you're both measuring based on the same air pressure. There's no deviations, and it's when you get through the transition altitude on landing you can go back to the altitude being measured based on the correct air pressure. So you'll see when we switch to 1020, the altitude will change. And it will read something else temporarily until it fixes itself. Depends how out it is though. But we won't be doing that until 6,000 feet. So yeah, there we go. We are into Spain now, and we can actually zoom down here now onto the get closer to a runway. There we go. So here we've got to be 10,000 or below. We're slightly above, aren't we? Is it going to make it? It's got to lose 1,400 feet before in 5 nautical miles. I can give it some drag if it needs it. We're a little bit above. I'm going to add a bit of spoiler, just to bring these two more back into line. I'm sure the plane would have done it anyway, but there we go. Just helping it out. We are slightly above the 240, but it's okay. It's within the regulations. We just can't be over 250. Once we drop below 10,000, it is not allowed anywhere. It has to be below 10,000 by the time it hits that. It's going to be close. It can be at 10,000 or below. It's going to make it, isn't it? Yep. There we go. It's officially below, and plop. Okay, next one is 2,000. Oh, sorry, 8,000. So even if it can make 8,000 before here, it won't drop below because it's 8,000 or above. So it'll be adjusting its angle of attack so that it hits 8,000 when it gets there. Autopilot is clever. See, it's reducing it. Alright, so 10,000. So let's get the landing lights on. And I'm going to put the seat belts. I'm going to force them on. That's just an on-off, isn't it? I actually didn't check these. Barcelona's here, I think, isn't it, on the jutty out bit?
Morning, Road 1890, turn left at Echo 13, no delay please, left at Echo, then ground point 65. Okay, we'll go up to Echo 13, run it
Okay, I just want to check now. It's a Tebler where we drop under the 200 apparently. It's going to have to. Engines are only at 34% thrust. Wow. Got the sun in our face. Awesome. That's just what I wanted for a landing. To be blinded. And I can't bring the sunshades round because I've got this system. I suppose you could use this instead, right? I mean, I guess. if we need it.
United 414, contact departure. The 414.
There's the sea. Nothing else to see.
Compass 6042 right, 24 left, land away.
Oh man. But look, there's no clouds here. Like nothing at all. Much better weather than in Amsterdam. Setting auto brakes to 2.
Compass 6042 are now Delaware, wing calm, runway 24 left, clear for takeoff.
Setting the air pressure to that. And now I'm going to add some drag because we're a bit above the altitude that we're supposed to be at. So I'm going to get this brought back in. We've got the diamonds.
37 on a 2-mile final. Caution wake turbulence. Traffic will also hold in position. Right 24 left for the land. Right 24 left for the land. 41.
We do have another turn to make, so we won't have the sun in our face with a landing, thankfully. Now this speed needs to come down. I'll use flaps to get it down if I have to.
Mike Alpha, contact departure, have a good flight.
Contact departure. 506 Mike Alpha. Have a good day.
Glide slope 249, has it captured it?
Tower Skywest 4938. We're gonna need a few minutes. Our flight attendant just called us. He's gonna take care of something in the back corner.
Skywest 4938, roger. Advise when you're ready. Continue holding short runway 24. Skywest 4938, runway 24, clear for takeoff. Wind 290 at 9.
24, clear for takeoff. Skywest 49.
Negative 05, perfect. You cleared visual approach. Runway 27 right, maintain 170 knots. 175 mile final and RJ lands 35 Friday left.
Look at the RJ. Still 5 out.
What the hell is this thing? Got the localizer anyway.
Final was 6182, 4.5 for 4,000.
Push 182 approach time 30 degrees right. Expect a visual, runway 27 right.
30 to the right, and we'll expect a visual 27 right. We'll shoot 50.
Gear down.
Barcelona approach
falling 8987 is at 12,000 feet, descending 6,500 feet.
Flaps 15.
Falling 8987, Barcelona, approach QNH 30, decimal 12 radar.
Speed brake is armed.
435.
Engine at continuous. I hope that switch I just made there, that ground switch, isn't going to be a problem.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet. Descend and maintain 4,000 feet, falling 8245. Blowing 8245, keep speed, not above 200 knots.
I'm not liking this. Why isn't it going further down? We've lost LNAV. Or have we? I don't know.
Falling 8245.
Yeah, it didn't descend. I don't know why.
Approach 5182, much appreciated. Clear visual approach, runway 27 right. And
So I guess this stream is not going to be kept on the channel then. I'm having to force it down myself. I armed the approach mode, so it should have dipped below the 2.3 and it didn't.
1,000.
It's still too high, but come on, Pappy Lights, talk to me.
Approaching
Blowing
minimum.
8245 traffic at 3 o'clock, 4 miles at 7,200 feet airback. Report them in sight. Blowing 8987, descend and maintain 4,000 feet.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Blowing 8245, have the Airbus in sight.
Visual approach, runway 27 right. Just keep your speed up as long as practical, please. Still at least a 5 mile per hour.
27 right, keep the speed up, clear visual, American 140.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet, falling 8987. Blowing 8987, keep speed, not above 20.
Well, that wasn't ideal. I had everything right. The LNAV went away. But I'm not sure, because sometimes when you press approach, the LNAV and VNAV buttons do tend to turn off when it goes into approach mode. So it's not like that was an issue.
R738 request taxi to the gate.
RYR 738 taxi to gate 114 using taxiway. Papa 5 Tango 7 Golf November Sierra 8, Hotel November Sierra 9er, Juliet November Bravo 9er, Hotel November Bravo 8.
Taxiing to gate 114 using taxiway Papa 5 Tango 7 Golf November Sierra 8 Hotel November Sierra 9er Juliet November Bravo 9er Hotel November Bravo 8 RYR 738.
It wants me to go a different way. I only chose this way because there was planes here. Obviously can't go back that way, that's ridiculous. Well, I'm just going to have to pick my own spot then, because the green dots have disappeared.
Time check 14 pushback start approved.
Oh, there they are. Welcome to Barcelona. Yeah, I just don't understand why.
Barcelona, ground Ryanair 80 Sierra Tango, requesting pushback. Barcelona, ground Ryanair 80 Sierra Tango, no push.
I don't understand why the plane stayed at 2,300. I know it's set here, but once you hit approach mode and it contacts the glide slope, it brings itself down. Didn't. And it didn't pick up the glide slope, and we had the frequency in. Had the ILS frequency in, correct? I don't mean incorrect. We had it in correctly. Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Now where have you got me going? You had me directed up here. Now you want me to change again? Quite a few Ryanairs here. A lot of them. I don't know. If anybody who's watching this after the fact can tell me why it didn't pick up the glide slope and follow it down. What I should have been doing while I was taxiing, but too busy thinking about other stuff. Putting the APU on. Also to request ground services. If we're requesting ground power, then is there any point putting the APU on? There is no switch at the ground power.
The boarding requested.
Should have turned those off when we left the runway. Don't think we have to do that. It just does it automatically. Yeah, so confused.com. ILS frequency was active.
Passengers deboarding started.
109.5, which I know is correct. How very strange. Never had that before. It's weird because, you know, I've done many descents and landings in this thing, and when something different happens that's never happened before in a different way, when I've followed all the procedures as I normally follow, I don't have any understanding of it at all. And then the next time we get a dodgy landing or something that doesn't go quite right, it'll be something else that's slightly different, and it'll be different to this one. I don't know. ILS frequency was in. Approach mode was armed early enough. Hi Roger, welcome to the end of the stream. But welcome anyway. Yeah, it's weird. So I realized it was not going to descend anymore. There was no glide slope capture that I could see. Or if there was, it wasn't reacting to it. Maybe I armed approach too late. I didn't think I did, but maybe I did. But as soon as I saw it wasn't going to descend on the autopilot, I took over and I just did it myself. And it wasn't too late. We managed to get it down.
Thank you for a wonderful flight.
Teleportation occurs in this plane. But that's because you're supposed to observe passengers getting off from here. Whoa, we've got a bit of a gap. That jetway didn't line up. Passengers are having to jump up. That's not safe. Up you go. That's not too clever. All right. Well, there we are. There's the flight. Amsterdam to Barcelona. Look at the weather here. The sun's going down a little, but it is 10 to 5 here. So passengers are all going to get themselves off, and don't know how this camera gets so messed up. Oh, it doesn't even render the inside of this one. I wonder if this is just the standard Barcelona airport then. Maybe you have to look for a, you know, a proper one. Yeah, the flight was okay, but the descent was okay. It's the final approach. I don't know. I can never be happy when it doesn't go exactly according to plan. Who's making all that noise? Him? Yeah. If it wasn't for that nice big green box around the plane, that would be a nice screenshot. Talking of green boxes, where would it be? Probably not here. Probably be in assistance. Navigation aids. Landing path off. Taxi ribbon, I want that on. But I don't need the big box at the end of it. Off, 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 off. Piloting. Turbulence is set to low. That's probably why we weren't getting a lot of, you know, hassle. And that's because of a certain plane, and I think it's the Phoenix A320. If you put the turbulence on like realistic or whatever. Is it realistic? Yeah. It doesn't like it. So I'm having to keep it on low. I think the reason is because realistic, it's a problem from a Sobo, I think. So I don't know. That's what I'm hearing. User experience, perhaps. ATC enforced flight plan. Air traffic control will always, if enabled, air traffic control will always default to the departure runway, or disabled the active runway and approach depending on current conditions. Okay, so we want that on then. Oh, this used to be debug. You have to go into debug mode to get this, and now it's here. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. The parking thing. Wait a minute. Park. It is called it'd be a parking box, wouldn't it? Yeah. It looks like you cannot remove it. I don't know what to change there. But you cannot remove it separately. Come on, everybody off. All right. I'm good. Yes, exactly, gain damage, yeah. Bullhole, Salona. Okay, thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next flight. Until then, bye-bye.